Welcome to another episode of Encrypted Minds, a podcast with entrepreneurs in high tech, um, SaaS, cybersecurity, or sometimes people working in high tech in the medical industry. And in this case, I have Cole Hatfield of Brightpoint with me on the show, and I'm very pleased that we can just discuss his ideas about entrepreneurship, um, capital investments, some other topics that will go across the line. But thank you, Cole, for being on Encrypted Minds. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. So my name is Cole Hatfield, like Edwin said. I have been with Brightpoint for 8 years now. I have spent most of my entire life in electronic contract manufacturing and in medical device world. Um, somewhere's in the middle there. I took a venture with automotive and had a lot of fun doing the original propane injection for diesel engines, and that took me to on quite the adventure of traveling around the world, with the automotive space. But my passion, my enjoyment is for medical device design, manufacturing, engineering. And we're actually sitting in here a facility that I built out during these eight years from scratch. So this facility is a 3,000 square foot med device engineering and creation facility. We built a full clean room, class 7 clean room within this facility, hired engineering staff, the whole 9 yards, to take a napkin idea essentially of how to improve epidurals and take it into the future. And so we took basically a controller, very much like your cell phone, and and ran a TUI needle with fiber optics down it, and we were able to insert that into the epidural space. And in doing so, we get to see each one of the tissue layers in the body, and eventually getting to the void, the epidural space. And it shows up on the controller as black, representing that secondary confirmation that you're in the epidural space. And that was our original design, our original plan, what we went after. And we raised, at the time, we raised, roughly $5-6 million to do that. And we were able to get into clinical trials with that money. And when I came on, there's a great gentleman named Frank Lyman. He was the original CEO for the company. He was very knowledgeable. He took his claim to fame was he created the original radioactive seed implants for cancer treatment. And him and I partnered together very well on this business, and we took it into the clinical trials along with some other uh, great employees and people helping along the way. Dr. Andy Alexander was great for the clinical trials. We put together this small but clear cut team, and we partnered with HSS, Hospital for Special Surgeries, out of Manhattan, New York, and we treated 24 out of 36 patients with the original device. Then we took kind of a pause to the company, a little step back of, okay, technology's changing, uh, investment world is changing, the whole 9 yards. Let's update a new business plan. Let's update a new budget. Let's put together, what is new technology that we can utilize for this product. So I started under, like, let's call it like a 40% redesign to the product and update. And then as I got deeper and deeper into it, I found, you know what? Technology has changed so much so that I'm doing basically 100% redesign to it. And we did this through a partnership with a group called SMT, Surface Mount Technology, out of Appleton, Wisconsin. And in doing so, we were ahead of budget, or however you want to put it, below on budget, ahead of schedule. And the product redesign opened up more opportunities. Basically, opened up the company to not just do epidurals, but any type of needle placement. And then from there, it gave more ideas. What if we added a camera to it? What if we did more and more and more things that we could do? Almost the the platform itself, the controller, became almost limitless of what you could add to it. Now, where our story will kind of venture off a little bit into the deep weeds here is kind of like what you talked about with investors. Okay, this company and through the years, I've dealt with a lot of investors from small investor, angel investors, where they're giving $5,000 or something, all the way up to large scale loan based VC type stuff for $100 million, things like that, and different types of companies, well established versus startup, all over the place, and we were able to for this specific company here, we brought on a new lead VC, and I want to talk a little bit about this with you because I want to share some advice of what I've gained through the years here. And one of the biggest advice that I can give to people with VCs is that a VC you should be even more careful choosing than your wife, okay, or your
Quite a bold
partner.
statement.
It is. It's true though. And the reason why it's true is that your wife you can divorce, okay? You don't like her, you don't get along with her, whatever, you want a divorce, go get a divorce, okay? When you have a VC in bed with your company, good luck getting rid of them. It's not possible. I mean, in a lot of ways, the documentation flat out says that it's not possible in the agreements, okay? They have board seats, they have controlled decision making, all types of things in different companies. And the more money that you take, the more power they have.
But
Okay?
Cole, before you continue, it is not a coincidence that you could build a company from scratch because you have the background in building large teams, doing new things, do innovations, right?
Yeah, so at one point, I had at my largest company, I've had roughly 750 employees across 24/7 operation. Um, and yeah, that was a difficult, I didn't have enough, I didn't scale the management structure well enough in that company. I didn't, I didn't hire enough people to start taking some responsibility off my shoulders, taking weight off my shoulders and things. And what it did was, it burned me out. I mean, so fast. Within, we had hyper growth like that, and then within a year after that hyper growth, I was fried. I mean, working 80 plus hours every week. Uh, I had a new baby at the same time, so you can imagine a new wife, new baby, and working 80 plus hours with a company that's growing like crazy. Y Yeah, and I dealt with a lot of things that most entrepreneurs and CEOs and stuff will never deal with, thank God. But because of where the facility was on, Cicero in the South Side Chicago kinda setup, I actually had 2 employees, be shot and killed, just on their lunch. They were sitting out in their car on lunch, and the drug dealers and stuff out there thought that they were like other gang members or something,
It's
and they
terrible.
literally shot and killed him. And that really that really affected me. I felt like okay, this isn't we can't do operations here anymore. We can't run a business where my employees have to worry about life or death just to make it to their job to make a salary. And so, when a very large company came in to buy out the business, I spoke with them about these exact concerns about moving the facilities and things. And they're such a massive multi-billion dollar company, their solution to it was to take the entire division and just close it.
Just like that.
Yeah. And take all 750 employees and put them out of work instantly. And this was after that, I came to the conclusion, I'll never do it again. I'll never do that because I felt personally responsible for, all those employees. You know, uh, I was concerned for their health and safety, and my concern for health and safety ended up costing that their entire all their jobs disappeared essentially because that was the solution from giant corporate America.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But so
Mhm.
we can just have a complete podcast about this story. But how did it impact yourself as a person? Because you've been through all this.
So in my life, and especially in business, uh, I have struggled because when I guest speak and I teach at different schools and stuff, one of the things that I teach is called the hammer and the heart. Okay, you have heart in business. You want to show people love and respect in business, but at the same time, you need to carry a big hammer because you still got to get work done. You still got to get a job done, right? And the problem that I've had is that in moments like this, when these things happen, you become cold. You start to lose the heart side of things. And, not too long after that happened, uh, my brother could actually see the change in my attitude and things. And he was very sick from CF and ended up passing away. And when he passed away, one of the last words he said to me was, not to lose your heart, because he knew that's what I was doing. And so I decided to go back to school at that point, and I went back to school to actually become a priest with the Catholic Church. I went to Loyola University in downtown Chicago. And when I went back, um, I really had the goal of wanting to connect with the church again, start helping young people, because the church and work doesn't have to be so separate. I think the church needs to be more involved with youth and growing business and entrepreneurship and things like that. And I just feel like for some reason they're kind of disconnected. But that's a whole nother tangent to go down. But I ended up doing very well with numbers at the school. They came natural to me, and I had a great time doing a. It was a competition that they had where you were given a certain amount of fake money, 20 something thousand, and in a semester you had to see how much you could trade on the stock market. And long story made short is I wrote my own quant formulas. I did my own hyper trading, the whole 9 yards, um, where they never said you couldn't. And I destroyed the whole competition, not by a little bit, but by millions of dollars in a semester I made. And so I won this beautiful internship at a place called HPM Partners in downtown Chicago. They're like 0.5% of wealth in the world type place. And I went to work for them, and I was there for exactly 1 month. I had beautiful corner office. I had all the big screens. They even had a chef that came to the office and made food for these executives and things and for everybody. I mean, it was a swank life that you were gonna have, right? Make millions of dollars trading stocks and stuff. And I hated it. I hated sitting there just staring at a screen. I felt like I wasn't making anything. I felt like I wasn't really contributing anything. So after 30 days, I went into the partner and told him, "You know what? Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I've learned so much, but this isn't the life for me." And he's looking at me like I'm a crazy man. Okay, because how many people get offered jobs that you know pretty dang well as a investment banker in a place like this, you are going to make crazy money, like really good money. And how many people turn that down? Uh, well, I was one of them. I was definitely a person that I valued, happiness and it just wasn't for me. So I left, and as soon as I graduated, again, I mean, I was 29 when I went back to school. I graduated, 4 years later with econ, finance, and accounting. I decided that was going to be my adventure into the medical world, and I loved it. And I went to work.
Yeah. Before I think just before you go dive into the things you actually love, the medical world, just go back to the statement of your brother earlier. Just I
Yeah,
want to ask some questions about it.
anything.
He recognized that you were losing your heart. Did you also accept this analysis, or do you also understand why you lost your heart?
Yeah, so when you have a lot of employees like that, you feel personally responsible
Yes.
for their well-being, okay? So, a lot of them live paycheck to paycheck. They're paying their mortgage, they're paying for their kids to go to school, they're put food on the table, things like that. And so when a company closes like that, or some corporate, group decides to close down a division like that, you have 750 employees in the Chicagoland area that were making good money. I mean, my lowest paid employee at the time was like $22 an hour. Right? And that was just for cleaning floors and things. I mean, the highest paid thing I had, 20 engineers on staff at, close to 200 grand a piece. I had a serious payroll. And all these people, they literally got 30-day notices and that was it.
But this was not your decision. Initially, you took care of them. You said, "All right, this is
I
not good
did.
for my staff."
I grew the business. I grew the sales. My customer base was happier than they've ever been. Uh, I took them off of OSHA's high offenders list. I had no injuries in the entire year. It was a beautiful project,
So
and
if I
and the people were happy
oh,
with it.
I'm sorry, continue. Yeah.
So long story short is, yeah, they closed it. A German plastics group bought the entire company out, and they closed it, and it was very rough on me.
So if I
I
get this, if this correct, it was not your decision, but you felt responsible for your entire team.
Yeah, I think good managers who really care about their employees and things, they do take it personal.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And
And
this was
honestly,
breaking
you
you
should.
down.
If you're so disconnected that you don't give a crap about your employees, then you're not really a good manager. That's
I
just
fully
my
agree. I
thoughts.
fully agree. But this is also this was outside of your. You had good intentions. It was outside of your control because the company was being bought. Was this the warning given by your brother? So all right, Cole, be careful. This is not the way forward. Is it? Did it need to have?
He didn't want me turning cold.
Okay.
So turning cold in business is like you start just looking at numbers,
Yes. Ah.
and
Okay.
every employee is just another number. You're looking at, you look at every employee as a tax credit. You're not looking at, especially doing business in Illinois, you can get a lot of different tax benefits and things like that, depending on what type of employees you hire too. So you start, instead of choosing the best person for the job, you start picking the best person for your pocketbook.
Ah.
Right.
Okay.
And when you start doing things like that, you're fundamentally, you can't care about your business at that point. You
No.
care about money.
Yes. Okay.
And that's just not how I do business. And that's really not the Midwest way of doing business in the US. So in the US, you're broken up into really three main areas. You have the East Coast way of doing business, the Midwest, and you have the West Coast. Okay. In my humble opinion, from my experience, East Coast is more contractual based business.
Yes.
They want formal contracts. They want more lawyers involved, things like that. There's a lack of trust. There's a lack of uh, almost lack of respect for anybody, too. Okay. Midwest is a lot more handshake type deals. You might even say this is a Southern way of doing business. Much more handshake agreements, much more if you knew somebody 20 years ago, you go back to them and offer them business again. So you keep those long-term relationships in place. You also want to keep your reputation clean and clear. Okay, you want people to respect and want to work with you because I can tell you right now, 20 years after my first original business deal and things, I went back to the same group SMT again to use them, and they remembered me, they remembered the previous projects and stuff, and the same people that I did business with 20 years ago are still working there.
Yeah. Is this something you
So,
recognize afterwards? So based on your
yeah.
experience, you can say, all right, there are three main.
Yes, this is from my experience, yeah.
All right.
And West Coast, it's kind of an odd setup. It's very, like I don't wanna bring politics into it, but it's kind of like, if your viewpoint whether it's political, religious, fundamental, whatever, okay? If your viewpoints are in alignment with West Coast, uh, then business runs smoother.
Yes.
If you deviate, like your viewpoints in life and how you do business and stuff deviates from the way that they do business, you have a much harder time kind of meeting in the middle to be able to work together. And I mean, you can say that about, most business, but it's just a little stronger the pull. It's like magnetically charged, stronger pull West Coast versus other areas. They have their own way of doing things and they want people to do it that way. And please don't misunderstand me. This isn't a criticism of anybody's way of doing business. These are observations of what I've seen through the years. People can conduct their business however they want. I choose to do it my own way.
And this is interesting. In summarize your background. You are proven in building teams and big corporation enterprises. You don't want to follow the corporate coldness. And working as an investment banker, crunching numbers all day long, watching Excel sheets, although there's a cook cooking you nice meals.
Was it for me?
Was it for you? So basically with this experience, you stepped into the world of the medical devices, medical industry.
Yeah. Yep. And I started building companies from scratch on a much tighter budgets than ever before. I mean, I can honestly say, even this bench behind me here, this bench I built from scratch. I uh, I actually I machined like I cut down the trees on my own property up in Michigan. I milled the wood, I machined it, and I built the workbenches in this office.
No way.
Yeah, in the whole office, every single workbench in here, every conference room table, everything. I made them myself.
That's
And the
great.
reason for that is I went out and I saw the prices of them, and they were crazy. I mean, thousands of dollars and 20 grand for a conference room table. And I said, "No, I'm not spending that kind of money." So, in this operation, I ended up building out this entire facility for about 250 grand, including the clean room and everything. Uh, I even poured the concrete for the floor myself
Yeah.
in here.
So you have a plan B going to furniture and a plan C
Yeah,
going to construction.
exactly, right?
All right.
Yeah, I just
Which
you do what you have to save
yeah.
every penny.
All right, but now you're saving any penny. Luckily, you can understand balance sheets. You know how it
Yeah,
works. You know
yeah, I
also
have a strong financial background, yeah, now.
strong financial background also to know propane injection in diesel engines is something else. But now you're also injecting stuff only into people.
Yes. Mhm,
Much smaller, much more
yeah,
sophisticated maybe.
mhm.
All right. You love the industry, although the budgets are tight. Why? Why is that?
So, when I first started, when I was 15, I worked for a company called Millennium Electronics. We were a military kinda DoD type company, and we did the Javelin missile and some other different, the F-111 fighter jet black box, things like that. And, uh, I knew when the war broke out and stuff that we were providing stuff right into Northrop Grumman, and then they were turning around and shipping weapons overseas, and I just felt like I was, I was helping, however you wanna put it, as a religious person, the idea of helping, kill people just wasn't really in my it didn't fit with my moral value system, okay? So, medical does. Medical is something where I know that epidurals right now have a large failure rate. And I know they have a large failure rate, but it's unspoken because doctors and insurance companies and things don't want to recognize failure to it or wet taps because they don't want uh, their malpractice insurance and things like that to go up because they're already one of the highest in the industry. Okay. So I wanted to provide a solution for certain things like this, And so when Frank originally approached me to come on with Brightpoint here, which originally was called Lumoptik, okay, was the company, and it was that for 6 years, and then I rebranded it as Brightpoint when I took over as CEO for the company. Um, so we had this mission. Part of this mission too came uh, Frank's daughter originally had a failure with an epidural, and so it was personal for him on this adventure. And then my wife also had a failed epidural on both births. And so it kind of hit close to home, and we saw it firsthand how they did a wet tap. It was a failed epidural. She got the nasty migraine headaches. She was in the hospital for an extra 2 days afterwards, and so our product here solves it. I mean, it almost eliminates it, and makes the training time. So people don't realize that the practice of medicine is a true phrase. People have to come out of school and practice medicine in the hospital to become fluid with it, to become good at it. Well, an epidural takes roughly 100 procedures for a new anesthesiologist to become good at it, to become solo, independent, comfortable, right? Well, with our device, we take it down to about 5 or 10 procedures, and they're comfortable, and they can perform it well. So obviously, you know, if I can save another 90 bad procedures, or potentials for bad procedures, uh, then I think it's a success, and I feel personally happy about it. So all of these great things we're going, all of these wonderful opportunity to help people is going. And then what is the number one largest challenge that we fight? The investors. So this is where you have the hard part to entrepreneurship, is a separation between the engineering and product development and the dreamers, okay? Like myself, I admittedly dream, okay? And then there's the reality in the investors and wanting their 3-year return on investment, which used to be 5 years and things, and now investors want shorter and shorter and shorter and faster returns. And you feel more and more of this compression going on the CEOs and on these executives now to deliver faster, quicker, cheaper. And there's another 100 companies lined up behind it, begging for money, playing a game called Name That Tune. And what I mean by that is it's me going to a VC and saying, I can get your money back at a 5x return in 2 years. And then the next person comes to him and say, I can get your money back to you at a 5x return, but I can do it in a year and a half. Okay. And the reality is nobody can do that. It's not realistic. But once they have your money and once they have you hooked as a VC, then it's, "Oh, we missed that timeline. We're gonna need more money. We're gonna need this." And so there's kind of a breakdown that I'm seeing between VCs demanding more than they've ever demanded, okay, and angel investors even, they're demanding more and more and more. Companies overpromising, under-delivering on it, and then at the same time that you're doing this, you're having entire financial groups exiting the entire medical device world now
Why is that?
because of that.
Because of this.
Because of that exact condition that's being designed and built. Okay. It's an over demand and an under trust.
But one thing I don't understand. The VCs want to make money eventually. But
Mhm.
if you're pushing out the dreamers, like you call them, nobody's going to make money because this kind of companies are not being built by bookkeepers.
That is the thing that the VCs have not learned yet. Okay. And here's the other thing, the board members and the other investors value the money more than the talent. And that is a bad situation to get into.
Maybe I can mirror the situation a little bit in the sales organization I used to work in. Big US corporations, and the higher you get to the board, the more disconnected you are with the operations, and they don't see any customers anymore talking about their own wallet. Every decision being made based on Excel and what's in it, what it's in it for them. And you make it even on a higher level because you're connected to the VC. You spend their money. You may be a personal obliged. Maybe you just have mortgages also part of the deal. So you're just a prisoner of this situation.
But it's not just me. This is This is an industry-wide epidemic that's happening,
All right,
okay,
to
in the
to
US
use a
setting.
medical term.
It's true, yeah, yeah, most, uh, CEOs that I speak with right now are in this same challenge right now, are dealing with this. They There's not enough money anymore available, and so they take the first money that's available to them, and they break that golden rule that I originally said about choosing your VC.
Okay. Yeah, because you're desperate for money. But
You're desperate for
I
money,
have a
you're
solution
desperate for
for you,
your
Cole.
dream to work.
I have a solution, easy solution. You need to call your company Brightpoint AI, and then money is
And then the money will
and the
flow.
money will flow. You don't even have to
Yes.
spend it. No, but this is a ridiculous situation. You're describing things you can actually cure people, contribute something to society. There's no money. There, we are now in a prisoner's dilemma with regard to venture capitalists and the entrepreneurs. While money on the AI part, OpenAI, Anthropic, Nvidia, it is ridiculous. The amounts are so big. I have no idea how they're
Yeah.
going to spend it.
They're not. They're
Then
not going first off, it's impossible to spend the amount that they're pulling in. Second thing is, even if they start spending it, who's managing that money? Where it's going, how it's being spent, everything. We've already seen it with most of these big companies that have done huge stuff, SpaceX, Tesla, things like that. We've already seen enormous waste, enormous money being spent that they never even knew they were spending. They find supplies purchased sitting in their warehouse and they don't even know when it was ordered, how it was ordered, what project it was used for, all of this stuff or designated for anything. And then even worse than that is they buy it for a project, cancel the project, and they don't think about trying to resell it even.
so this observation, isn't it frustrating for you as an entrepreneur in a medical situation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, look, uh, the entire med device world is only 100 and something billion per year in investment. What some of these companies bring in a year could almost fund the whole dang thing. And a long time back, I was lucky enough to be part of a program in Portugal called the DNA Project. And what it was the government took a abandoned building and they remodeled the entire building and they had I don't remember at the time, maybe 6 or 8 companies that could set up in there for 1 year for free. And everything was free during that year, okay? Toilet paper, printing paper, etcetera, right? Uh, eh, you know, all of, use of, water, electricity, etcetera. They had no overhead essentially. And after a year, if they were successful enough and they got on their feet, then the government would help them move to a more permanent location if they were showing revenue. Okay. If they weren't showing revenue, they could apply for an additional year or they were canceled and removed, right? And then the next group came in. And this program was extremely successful because think about a startup company. What's your hardest year? Your first year.
Yes.
And if you have no overhead for your first year, your chances of survival and success are substantially better.
That makes sense. You don't have to struggle for every dollar be- because of toilet paper or printing paper. You
It's
can
the
just,
small costs that really burn.
yeah,
That's hard. Yeah. Gas, things like that. And they had some help with gas cards for deliveries and pickup and supplies. It was great, a really great opportunity. And I was like I said, I was very lucky to be part of it and help do that. I wish we did something like that in the U.S. here. I wish we had some kind of program. And the reality is, even if we tried doing a program like that, it would end up being so corrupt and so messed up that it would not be a very successful operation.
but
But
you're good in entrepreneurship. That is one of the benefits of the US because, you know, we don't have to trust the government or some NGOs fixing these kind of things. What you just described about the waste of money or the venture capitalists taking their investors of investments captive, if a lot of people see these kind of things, I think you also have an idea to solve these kinds of issues,
Yeah, yeah.
at least a
I think
direction.
if you start pulling together some private funds and start setting up more of a family office model, not a VC model, and you pick, choose, select, whatever you want to call it, investments that your group is personally involved in, not just investing in, but truly investing their resources, their time, focus, effort, talent, whatever, into each company that you choose. I believe that there is a true path for success.
Okay.
What I ran into with this company was more the traditional model where the VC invests money and then comes in and demands control. And when they demand control, they really don't know the business. They don't understand, yeah, everything that this company had going for it was its high flexibility, its ability to pivot instantly. It's the ability to be ultra low cost, having individuals like pouring the concrete in here and saving $30,000 in concrete. You know, that all of those benefits, when a VC comes in, they add structure, they add approvals and steps in the process and things. And on one way, it's good to have that structure when you're going to market. When you're doing product development still, and you're still trying to get the product finished and get through the FDA, you have to have that high mobility, high flexibility. And that is where this specific company has struggled the most. Okay.
So maybe you got this type of venture capitalist too soon, because as soon as
Yes,
you've got FDA
exactly.
approval, things are gone. More structure is better if you want to scale.
You're right.
Okay.
Yep. It would have been a better timing.
Yeah. So, and with regards to the family office, you already described your personal experiences with epidural problems. I can imagine it is a family office experience the same thing in their family or in their environment.
So what I've seen is, you know, I go to a lot of these conferences here in the US. I spoke with probably a good 100 or so CEOs in just the last 6 months or so here. And this problem is like I said, an epidemic across the entire thing. It's every single CEO is in this struggle right now.
And everybody's thinking about, yeah, how can we solve this? But for now, there's not a relevant solution for to solve the entire epidemic, because family offices are not growing on a tree.
Now, what's going to have to happen here is we're going to have more of these companies start dying off, essentially. Okay, including companies like my own right here and things. More of them are going to fail, close out, everything. Uh, and the venture capital groups are going to lose a chunk of money, like a substantial chunk of money, a couple $1 billion, and then they're going to reassess and redo their business model. And when they redo their business model, I believe at that time, they're gonna take more of a structure of what I think, needs to happen, which is identify top talent
Yes.
within the company, work with those top talents to find out what it takes to get to the next level, right? Ensure that those people are connected with the company because I'll tell you right now, 2 of the companies that I consulted with prior here, when they came in and they invested more money, they had difficulties with some of the employees, just interpersonal communication issues, things like that. And they terminated one of the gentlemen. And what they didn't even realize in pissing off that gentleman and terminating him and fighting with him and everything, he was the sole keeper of information and knew about the engineering for the product. So when he left, even though the company had, some $1.6 million in the bank at the time, and they had a team in place and everything, he was non-replaceable. And in larger companies, that's not the way that works. Okay. The larger companies, you say, everyone is replaceable. In these small startups like this, key individuals are non-replaceable. And that is very hard for any family office or VC to understand, to really get through their head that there are certain individuals, whether you like them, hate them, don't want to work with them. It doesn't matter. Okay. The company itself is that person. Okay. And the company, whatever you want to call it, XYZ ABC company. Okay. That person and that company are so interlinked that you are investing as much in that person as you are that company.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So you have to take care of the dreamers, and all the people are teaming up with the dreamers first, before you look into the balance sheet.
Even if you hate your dreamer, okay? I mean, fundamentally, let's say you don't get along with him. He's a jerk, okay? It doesn't matter what you want to call him, okay? You have to find a way to work with that person because it's the only key for that company to survive.
Yeah. Well, this is maybe this is a career step number three, Cole, that you can just be participate in this kind of venture capitalists and explain them how the real world works, and you understand the accounting principles. You can also push through the nonsense and recognize the
Had a
dreamer.
wonderful time. I was helping with some of the university stuff in New York. I I was asked to come into one of them and to mitigate between the investment world and scientists.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes.
And this was the funniest thing I've ever seen. You have the scientists on one side saying, you have to do this, 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 and this, and this step, and there is no way around it. You either do it this way or it fails. Okay. They were making amino essays. Okay. And and the investors are saying, we don't want to do it that way. We don't want to fund it that way. We want to fund it this way. And the scientists are going, I don't care what you want. It doesn't work that way. It fundamentally will not work. And they couldn't meet in the middle. Okay. And so I came in and I had to break down the science steps that they needed, put financial budgets to each one of them, those milestones, why they need to happen in that order, and then go to the investors and educate them on what needed to happen, why it needed to happen, what it was going to take to get to each one of those steps, the milestones that can be achieved to de-risk it better, and and help look at also how do we save some money? Do we need every one of these scientists on full-time staff, or can we do, contractual work with some of them, things like that? And once I got to the end of it, I kind of restructured. It took me almost a year to restructure it and stuff. And at the end, it was successful. It actually came out very well. The investor saved himself, roughly 480 something thousand dollars, which pulled him back down within his original budget that he estimated. And the scientists got the steps they wanted, that they needed, and they were able to start hitting those milestones and showing to the investor that they were actually meeting timelines, and gave the investor more confidence, more trust and everything in the hospital uh, scientific group. And I had a wonderful time with it. I loved going out to New York and working with these 20-something-year-old bright minds, energetic, that just love science and things. And then working with, 40, 50, 60-year-old investment bankers that wanted to capture this excitement and everything from the youth and their talent and things, uh, for obviously some return on investment and stuff. And we made both sides very happy through the transaction. And I had a great time with it. I loved it. I would be, if I could do more of that in my life, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well, that's good
It's a
to know.
beautiful thing.
That's a beautiful thing, and it's also the passion. This is the heart. Improving things and simultaneously make everybody happy. Yeah, just as a mediator. So, and back to your company now, Brightwood. Are you already able to market your solutions? Because you need to
Uh,
still need
so
the FDA approval.
so right now, we are finishing up this update to it, and then with that update, the product's gonna go through the FDA now.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a 510(k) standard FDA submission, which is a great thing for us. Originally, we were gonna have to do a de novo and do a unique product from scratch submission, and going 510(k) is gonna save us a lot of time, a lot of money, Uh, and so it will be good in the long run. Now, obviously, like I spoke, this company is going through struggles just like everybody is. And at the end of the day, I have seen more great ideas fail from bad management, bad VC groups than I have, um, you, you know, uh, great management groups and bad products. So we have a great product. We have a great idea. We have good customer base. We have clients that are interested and excited to purchase the product. We have a clear engineering solution. We have a clear path through the FDA, the whole 9 yards. We have challenges with management and investments. That's our challenges, and just being very honest and direct. I mean, a lot of people will sugarcoat things because they're worried about getting in trouble or saying the wrong thing, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't talk about the problems that we face within our businesses, then how are other people going to truly learn from it and to troubleshoot or sidestep away from the mistakes that I have fought with, right? And I'm not too proud of a man to admit that, that when you make a mistake, you admit it, and you try not to do it twice.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. And it's also refreshing for a lot of people just to say how it is. So if you understand how it is, you can just discuss possible solutions.
I always say I'm not a very polished CEO.
Oh, no.
I'm genuinely not. I grew up as a military brat, and I grew up with, you know, uh, I grew up as the first person in my family to go through college. Okay. We had an outhouse 50 feet from our front door. Our first house burned to the ground when I was a kid. We didn't have two pennies to rub together. And yet my parents struggled. They worked hard. They put food on the table. They gave us every opportunity we could. And I eventually was able to really go to college full time when I was 29. I couldn't go right out of high school. I did night classes and for engineering and things at the local community college and stuff, and worked my way up. And then on top of all of this, uh, I have fought with health problems most of my entire life, and so that's added a whole nother level of
Yeah.
challenges.
And this also brings me to the reason you decided to join Encrypted Minds' podcast to share your ideas and share your knowledge with a lot of people, your expertise.
Yeah, so, one of the reasons that I started, communicating more openly and trying I don't look at myself as a great interpersonal communication person. I really don't, okay? I don't look at myself as a great guest speaker. I actually hear a lot of people talk. I go to a lot of different events and things, and I don't consider myself a very strong, communicator. But, um because of my health and how serious it's been over the last 4 years and my journey in life, um, I wanted to give back a little bit. I wanted to share whatever wisdom I felt that I've gained over the years, and that's why I always offer to speak with, colleges or podcasts like yourself and things. I'm always happy to try and share openly and honestly and effectively the challenges that I have fought with through business and some of the successes. I mean, when I worked with rebuilding the propane injection for diesel engines, we sold that into General Motors, and that was my exit to go back to college. I did very well with that. I sold a company when I was 29. I mean, that's great.
That's it. That is
Uh,
great. Yeah.
in the first company I ever really got involved with, Millennium, we grew that from 15 employees to like 265 or something in just 5 years. We grew to almost 24 million a month. Brand new facility built out, multiple SMT lines. I had by the time I was 20, I had over 100 employees working for me. I've
I think
had some great successes in life along the way.
yeah, and this is very good. I think you're modest because you're not a strong communicator. That is really your opinion. I think it is because next to that, you have also some strong stories to tell. to share. And you
Lots of funny stories.
yeah, maybe, yeah, for good stories. But also, there's a small detail. You can talk about your successes as a company, but the first thing you mention is your team, not the revenue. You only talk about the numbers of your team. That is where the real pride is coming from. Oh, you take care of the people, and this is the reason maybe you start with the number of your team.
I take a lot of pride in building very high performing, successful teams. I have been very lucky in life to have great mentors also. Anybody that says that they got to where they are at my age in life and being successful and being, you know, I could be a lot more successful, but I've done okay in life.
I think
And
you are.
and,
Yeah.
and, and I did it by having great mentors. There was a gentleman named Troy Rickert, who was the original operations director at Millennium Electronics. And he kind of took me under his wing and spoke to me in a way that just resonated with me very much as, you know, I was young at the time. So I was very immature also. That just comes with age naturally. But when you're managing that amount of people, you need almost, every week you need some kind of mentorship of like, be careful of what you say, how you say it, make sure you communicate clear and effective demands of what you need from your team. Make sure you come back to your team when they meet those goals and tell them thank you very much and show them appreciation for their effort and their hard work, and it will go a long ways. Spend time training your team, one-on-one training, give them attention, time, and in learning all these things from Troy, I brought that years and years later in my career now. Um, and there were other people along the way, including like Frank, who helped me a lot with this company too. And you know, so one of my suggestions to a lot of people out there, whether you're an executive now or you want to become an executive, is to find somebody that is successful in the business that has the same moral and ethical background as you and can mentor a bit, can help guide you a little bit in your career and and make sure that you stay in you say thank you to them because they will open doors for you that you don't even know yet.
Yeah. Well, I think, Cole, we only scratch the surface of all the stories you have to tell, to share. I think this is a beautiful finish of this podcast with this advice about your mentors. Um, I think we should aim for another podcast with deep dive into one of your other stories, Cole. I really enjoyed this conversation. It's a great conversation. There's so many things to share. I think we can take a lot out of it, especially with your relationship with venture capitalists and how you are get to marry those people, and also talk about the
I hope
divorce.
it helps somebody out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Well, Cole, I thank you again for attending the podcast and
Thank you
sharing
for
the
having
story.
me. I very much appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you so much, and we keep in touch.
All right, take
All right.
care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.